The Great Hall on Nexus Prime was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Tall creatures with 4 arms sat next to floating jellyfish-like aliens. Blue-skinned humanoids whispered to insect warriors. All of them had come to see the humans. Admiral Jake Morrison walked into the center of the hall. His gray hair was cut short, and his blue uniform looked simple next to the fancy clothes of the alien leaders. Behind him walked Captain Lisa Hayes and Dr. Sam Cooper. The 3 humans looked very small in the huge room. Above them, a picture appeared in the air. It showed Earth's space fleet floating in the darkness. The ships looked old and rough. Paint was missing in some places. The metal hulls were dark and simple. Ambassador Zakth stood up. He was 10 feet tall with 6 legs and looked like a giant ant. His voice came through a machine that made his bug sounds into words. "Look at these old ships," he said with a laugh. "They look like someone built them from trash. Our smallest warship is bigger than their biggest one." Other aliens started, laughing too. The Threnody delegate was made of living crystal. When she laughed, it sounded like wind chimes. "Those ships use fire to move through space," she sang. "We stopped using such basic things 1,000 years ago." A purple alien with tentacles for arms pointed at the human ships. "Their weapons are so weak. One shot from our plasma guns would turn their whole fleet into dust." Captain Hayes felt her face get red. She wanted to say something, but Admiral Morrison put his hand on her arm. "Let them talk," he whispered. The alien leaders kept making fun of the human ships. They showed pictures of their own fleets. The alien ships were huge and shiny. They had smooth curves and glowed with bright lights. Some looked like living creatures. Others were made of pure energy. "Your biggest ship is only 1 mile long," said Ambassador Vexhai. He looked like a tall, thin person, but his skin was silver. "Our battleships are 10 miles long. How can you think you belong here with us?" Dr. Cooper stepped forward. He was a quiet man who usually stayed in his lab. "Maybe we should not judge ships by how they look," he said. "Maybe we should see what they can do." This made the aliens laugh even more. A fish-like creature floating in a water tank spoke with bubbles. "What can those old things do? Fall apart?" Admiral Morrison waited until the room got quiet. Then he spoke in his calm, steady voice. "You think our ships are weak, that is fine, but I want to make a deal with you." The room became very quiet. All eyes looked at the human admiral. "There is an old space fortress in the Proxima Drift," Morrison said. "It has been there for thousands of years. No one knows who built it. Every race in the galaxy has tried to break into it. No one has ever succeeded." The aliens started talking to each other. They all knew about the mysterious fortress. It was famous across the galaxy for being impossible to defeat. "The fortress has shields that have never been broken," Morrison continued. "It has weapons that still work after all these years. Your best fleets have tried to destroy it. They all failed." Ambassador Zakth waved his arms. "That fortress has defenses we do not understand. It fights back against anyone who comes near. What does this have to do with your old ships?" Morrison smiled for the first time. "I want to make a bet. Give us one chance to try. If we fail, Earth will accept that we are not ready to join the Galactic Council. We will go back to our little corner of space and stay there." "And if you somehow succeed?" asked the crystal being. "Then you will listen to what we have to say about how to fight wars." The room exploded with noise. Aliens were talking, laughing, and arguing all at once. The idea that the primitive humans could succeed where the greatest fleets in the galaxy had failed seemed impossible. Ambassador Vexhai stood up. "This is foolish. That fortress has destroyed dozens of our best ships. Your ancient fleet will be turned to scrap metal in minutes." "Maybe," said Morrison. "But you have nothing to lose. Either we fail and you never have to deal with us again, or we succeed and you learn something new." The alien leaders talked among themselves for a long time. Finally, Ambassador Zakth spoke for all of them. "Very well, humans. We accept your challenge. But when your ships are destroyed, you will leave this part of space forever. Do you agree?" Admiral Morrison looked at Captain Hayes and Dr. Cooper. Both of them nodded. "We agree," Morrison said. The alien leaders were already planning to watch the humans fail. They thought it would be entertaining to see the primitive ships get destroyed by the ancient fortress. None of them believed the humans had any chance at all. But Admiral Morrison was thinking about something else. He was thinking about the real history of that fortress. He was thinking about secrets that the aliens did not know. And he was thinking about why human ships looked so old and simple. Soon the galaxy would learn that sometimes the oldest designs are the best designs. And sometimes, what looks primitive is actually the most advanced thing of all. 3 days later, all the ships met at the Proxima Drift. The place was dark and empty except for one thing. In the middle of all the darkness was the fortress. The ancient fortress looked like a giant metal ball floating in space. It was huge, almost 20 miles across. Its surface was covered with strange bumps and holes. Those holes were weapons that had been waiting for thousands of years. Captain Ryan Blake stood on the bridge of his ship, the UES Defiance. He looked at the screens showing the fortress. "What do you see on the sensors?" he asked. Lieutenant Amy Foster worked at her station. She was young but very good at her job. "The fortress has energy shields all around it," she said. "I can see weapon systems too. They look old, but they are still working." Outside the windows, Blake could see the alien fleet. Their ships were enormous. The smallest alien ship was 3 times bigger than the largest human ship. The alien ships glowed with bright lights and moved like living things through space. Admiral Kethvar was the leader of the alien fleet. He was from the same race as Ambassador Zakth. His voice came through the radio. "Human ships, stay far back. We will attack the fortress first. Your small ships might get hurt." The human ships moved away. Admiral Morrison watched from his ship as the alien fleet got ready to fight. What happened next was amazing to see. The alien ships began shooting at the fortress. Bright streams of plasma flew through space like lightning. The plasma was so hot it could melt through any metal. Missiles that used antimatter exploded against the fortress shields. The explosions were so bright they lit up the whole area. The alien ships had weapons that could destroy planets. Their guns used pure energy. Some ships shot beams of particles that moved almost as fast as light. The attack was beautiful and terrible at the same time, but the fortress fought back. Old weapons that had been sleeping for thousands of years woke up. Beams of red light shot out from the fortress. They hit alien ships and made their shields glow and spark. The fortress weapons were old, but they still worked perfectly. "Our shields are holding," reported one alien captain. But barely. The attack went on for a long time. The alien ships kept shooting. The fortress kept fighting back. Explosions lit up space again and again. It looked like a giant fireworks show, but it was a real battle. Captain Blake watched it all. "Those alien weapons are incredible," he said to his crew. "But look at the fortress. It is not even damaged." Amy Foster checked her instruments. "The fortress shields are getting stronger," she said. "It is like they are learning from each attack." This was true. Every time the aliens shot at the fortress, its defenses got better. The old computer inside the fortress was still working. It was studying the alien weapons. It was learning how to protect itself better. After 2 hours of fighting, the alien ships started to have problems. Their weapons were getting too hot, their shields were getting weak. But the fortress looked the same as when they started. The crystal being who led the Threnody fleet sent a message. "The fortress is adapting to our weapons. Every shot we fire teaches it how to defend better against the next shot. Ambassador." Vexai was angry. "How is this possible? We have the best weapons in the galaxy. We have destroyed entire worlds with these guns." The fish-like alien in his water tank was worried. "Maybe we should retreat. This fortress is too dangerous." But Admiral Kethavar did not want to give up. "No. We are the most advanced races in the galaxy. We cannot be stopped by some old fortress." He ordered all the ships to attack at once. Every alien ship fired every weapon they had. The space around the fortress became white with energy. The heat was so great that nearby asteroids began to melt. When the light faded, everyone looked at the fortress. It was still there. Its shields were still working. In fact, they looked stronger than before. "Impossible," whispered Kethvar. The fortress began to shoot back harder than before. Its weapons hit alien ships and made their shields fail. One alien ship got hit so hard it had to retreat. Then another ship was damaged. "Fall back," ordered Kethvar. "All ships fall back." The alien fleet moved away from the fortress. They had used their best weapons. They had fought for hours, but they had failed completely. Admiral Morrison watched the alien ships retreat. Then he opened a channel to talk to all of them. "Are you ready for us to try our way?" The alien leaders were embarrassed and angry. They did not want to admit that the humans might succeed where they had failed. But they had no choice. "Fine," said Kethvar. "Show us what your old ships can do, but when you fail, remember that we warned you." Morrison smiled. He looked at Captain Blake and the other human captains. "All ships, get ready. It is our turn, now." The human fleet began to move toward the fortress. The ships looked small and weak compared to the alien vessels. But Admiral Morrison knew something the aliens did not know. He knew that sometimes old ways are the best ways. The fortress waited in the darkness. Its ancient weapons were ready. It had just defeated the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Now it would face the humans and their primitive ships. But the fortress was about to learn something new. It was about to learn that humans fight very differently than everyone else. Captain Blake got the signal from Admiral Morrison. It was time for the humans to try. Blake looked at his crew. They all looked nervous, but ready. "All right, everyone," Blake said. "You know what to do. Amy, start scanning everything. Chief Martinez, get the special equipment ready." The human ships began to move, but they did not move like the alien ships had. The aliens had charged straight at the fortress with all their guns firing. The humans did something very different. Instead of staying together, the human ships spread out. They moved in different directions around the fortress. To the watching aliens, it looked like the humans had no plan at all. "What are they doing?" asked Ambassador Zakth. He was watching from the safety of the alien flagship. "They are not even flying in formation." The UES Liberty, commanded by Captain Joe Parker, flew toward a part of the fortress that had no weapons pointing at it. Meanwhile, the UES Defiance started shooting small objects toward the fortress. Ambassador Vexhai could not believe what he was seeing. "Are they throwing rocks at it? This is their great plan?" But the humans were not throwing rocks. Dr. Cooper was coordinating something much smarter. He was on Admiral Morrison's ship, watching screens full of numbers and patterns. "The fortress defense system works in cycles," Cooper said into his radio. "Every 3 minutes it changes what it is doing. First it looks for big ships, then it looks for energy weapons, then it looks for fast-moving objects." The human ships were studying the fortress. The small objects they were shooting were not weapons. They were sensors that watched and learned. Every sensor that hit the fortress sent back information. Captain Sarah Bell commanded a ship called the UES Courage. She flew her ship in a strange pattern around the fortress. "I found something," she said over the radio. "There is a part of the fortress that looks different from the rest. It might be a weak spot." The human ships kept moving in ways that confused the aliens. The human ships were small and used simple rocket engines. But those simple engines let them turn and move in ways the big alien ships could not. The aliens watched in confusion. Their ships were powered by advanced energy systems. Those systems were powerful, but they could not change direction quickly. The human ships moved like dancers while the alien ships moved like trucks. "I think I understand the pattern now," said Dr. Cooper. "The fortress thinks in a very logical way. It follows rules. If we can figure out the rules, we can beat it." Elinry, fortress started shooting at the human ships, but something strange happened. The fortress weapons kept missing, not because the fortress was broken, but because the human ships were never where the fortress expected them to be. Lieutenant Amy Foster was working hard at her station. "I have mapped the fortress weapons," she said. "There are gaps in its defenses, small spaces where the guns cannot reach." Captain Blake smiled. "Then that is where we go." The human ships suddenly changed their behavior. They stopped moving randomly and started working together perfectly. Each ship knew exactly where to go and when to go there. The UES Liberty slipped through space like a fish swimming through rocks. Captain Parker guided his ship through the gaps in the fortress defenses. The fortress weapons tried to hit him, but they always fired at where his ship had been, not where it was going. "Now I see it," said Admiral Morrison. "Execute Plan Delta." All the human ships moved at once, but they were not attacking the fortress. They were using the fortress against itself. The UES Defiance flew close to one of the fortress weapons. When the weapon tried to shoot at the human ship, Captain Blake moved his ship away at just the right moment. The fortress weapon shot at empty space, but its energy beam hit another part of the fortress. "Brilliant," whispered Dr. Cooper. "We are making the fortress shoot itself." The human ships kept doing this. They would trick the fortress weapons into firing at the wrong targets. Each time a weapon fired, it hit another part of the fortress, instead of hitting the human ships. The aliens watching could not believe what they were seeing. "How is this possible?" asked the crystal being. "They are not even using weapons." "They are using the fortress as a weapon against itself," said Ambassador Vexhai. He sounded amazed. Captain Sarah Bell found the weak spot she had seen earlier. "It is definitely different from the rest," she reported. "It looks like someone added it to the fortress later." "That is the shield generator," said Dr. Cooper. "If we can damage that, the whole defense system will fail." The human ships worked together like parts of a machine. The UES Courage distracted the fortress weapons while the UES Liberty got close to the shield generator. Captain Parker did not shoot powerful weapons at it. Instead, he used small charges that created vibrations. The vibrations spread through the fortress structure. The old metal began to shake. The shield generator, which had worked perfectly for thousands of years, began to have problems. "Shield power is dropping," reported Amy Foster. "The fortress is losing its protection." Suddenly, all the lights on, the fortress began to flicker. The ancient computer that controlled everything was getting confused. It had been programmed to fight enemies who attacked with brute force. It did not know how to handle enemies who used tricks and intelligence. The fortress shields failed completely. The weapons stopped working. The ancient structure that had defeated every fleet in the galaxy just floated in space, powerless. "Admiral," Morrison opened a channel to the alien fleet. "The fortress is secure. You can send your people over now." The alien leaders were completely shocked. The humans had succeeded in less than 1 hour. They had not fired a single real weapon. They had not lost a single ship. They had defeated the impossible fortress using nothing but cleverness. "How?" asked Admiral Kethvar. "How did you do what we could not do?" Admiral Morrison's voice was calm. "We did not try to be stronger than the fortress. We tried to be smarter than it. Sometimes that works better." The fortress floated in space, waiting for explorers to discover its secrets. But the real discovery had already been made. The galaxy had learned that the humans were not primitive at all. They were just different. And sometimes different was exactly what was needed. The alien leaders could not speak. They watched their screens as the human ships floated around the defeated fortress. The structure that had been impossible to beat was now quiet and dark. But the biggest surprise was still coming. Teams from both human and alien ships went inside the fortress. They flew through the old metal corridors in small shuttles. The inside of the fortress was huge, with rooms and hallways that went on for miles. Dr. Cooper led the science team. He floated through the corridors in his spacesuit, looking at everything with wonder. Behind him came scientists from many different alien races. They all wanted to understand how the fortress worked. "This is strange," said Dr. Cooper as he looked at the walls. "This metal is very old, but it is made the same way we make metal on Earth." The Threnody scientist, a crystal being called Harmonic Vess, sang a confused note. "That cannot be right. This fortress is millions of years old. Your people have only been in space for a few hundred years." But as they went deeper into the fortress, they found more strange things. The doors were the right size for humans. The control panels had buttons and switches that looked like human designs. Captain Hayes was exploring a different part of the fortress with her team. She found a room full of computers. The computers were very old, but they still worked. When she turned them on, she saw something that made her heart stop. "Admiral Morrison," she said into her radio, "you need to see this right now." Morrison came to the computer room as fast as he could. When he saw what Hayes had found, his face went white. On the computer screens were star maps. The maps showed Earth's solar system exactly as it looked today. "How is this possible?" asked Ambassador Zakth. He had come to see what the humans had found. "These computers are older than our entire civilization." Dr. Cooper was in another room studying the fortress systems. Everything he found made less and less sense. The technology was incredibly old, but it followed the same basic principles that human engineers used. The power systems, the life support, even the way the corridors are built, Cooper said. It is all based on human engineering concepts. "Captain," Blake was exploring the fortress weapon systems. He found something that shocked him even more. "These weapon designs," he said over the radio. "I have seen them before, in our oldest military history books." The alien scientists could not believe what they were hearing. How could human technology be found in a fortress that was millions of years old? But the biggest discovery was still to come. Admiral Morrison found himself in the center of the fortress. It was a huge round room with a computer in the middle. The computer was bigger than any he had ever seen. When he touched it, lights began to flash and screens turned on. "Admiral," called Dr. Cooper over the radio, "I am reading massive computer activity. That system is turning on." Morrison watched as words appeared on the screens around him. The words were in a language he had never seen before, but somehow he could understand them. They were human words, but very, very old. The computer began to speak. The voice was mechanical but clear. "Welcome, children of Earth. We have been waiting for you to return." Everyone in the fortress stopped what they were doing. The computer voice was speaking on all the radios at once. "We are your ancestors," the computer continued. "Long ago we traveled to the stars. We built great ships and explored the galaxy. We found other races and learned from them." Admiral Morrison felt his hands shaking. "Who are you?" he asked. "We were the first humans to leave Earth," the computer said. "That was over 3 million years ago. We built cities on 1,000 worlds. We created technology that seemed like magic. But then something went wrong." The screens around the room showed pictures. They showed humans in spacesuits exploring alien worlds. They showed great cities built among the stars. They showed fleets of ships that looked like the ones Earth used today. "What went wrong?" asked Morrison. The computer was quiet for a moment. Then it said, "The Void Walkers came. They were creatures from outside our galaxy. They destroyed everything they touched. They turned entire star systems into empty darkness. The pictures on the screens changed. Now they showed terrible things. Dark shapes that moved through space like living shadows. Planets that went dark and died. Ships that were torn apart by invisible forces. We built these fortresses to fight them," the computer explained. "We hid our knowledge in safe places. Then we sent some of our people back to Earth. We told them to wait and grow strong. We told them that someday they would need to return to the stars." Dr. Cooper understood first. The people who went back to Earth became our ancestors. That is why our technology works the same way as this fortress technology. "Yes," said the computer. "What you call primitive technology is actually the most advanced technology ever created. It is simple and strong. It can be repaired easily. It works for millions of years without breaking." Captain Hayes was looking at more star maps. "According to these charts, there are hundreds of these fortresses hidden across the galaxy. They are all waiting for us." The alien leaders listening to all this were completely amazed. The humans they had laughed at were actually the descendants of the galaxy's greatest civilization. Ambassador Vexhai spoke first. "We owe you a great apology. We thought you were primitive newcomers. We did not know you were returning home." But Admiral Morrison was thinking about something else. "Computer, you said the Void Walkers were the reason for all this. Are they still out there?" The ancient computer was quiet for a long time. Then it said, Yes. They are sleeping now, but they will wake up soon. The galaxy will need all its children working together to fight them. Morrison looked at the alien leaders through his helmet camera. Now you know why we built our ships the way we did. We did not build them to look pretty. We built them to last. We built them to fight a war that has been waiting for 3 million years. The fortress computer began showing them more information. It showed them where other fortresses were hidden. It showed them weapons and ships that had been waiting for humanity to return. It showed them an entire network of ancient human technology spread across the galaxy. The Voidwalkers will return within the next 100 years, the computer warned. When they do, only the old ways will be strong enough to stop them. Only the simple, reliable technology of the first star travelers will survive their attack. Ambassador Zacht looked at Admiral Morrison with new respect. Admiral, it seems we have much to learn from you. Your ancient fleet is not ancient at all. It is the future. Morrison nodded. And you understand now why we did not want to show off our real capabilities too early. The galaxy has forgotten how to fight the old enemies. We need to remember together. The human ships, no longer seen, as primitive relics took their place as guardians of ancient secrets. The galaxy would never be the same again.